guys, give me a few seconds. Let's do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? Hold on. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the marketing nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In this podeo, we're going to be talking about what to do if you are tired of waiting. So for me, before we get into the podeo, one thing that I hope to accomplish with this podeo is I wish to show a new way for you to show up while you're waiting for something. All right. So of course, now we're going to get into the story time section of this podeo. And yeah, let's get into it. So about 2 years ago, I was going through a pretty rough period in my business. Things were stagnant for quite some time. It was close to 6 months. And frankly, I was fed up. I was fed up of waiting for things to turn around. I was really frustrated. I was tired of waiting. I was tired of having hope. And frankly, it came to a point where I was beginning to resent the activities that I was doing for my business because whatever I seemed to do did not seem to be yielding me the results that I was looking for, or things were just not happening the way that I wanted them to. And there was a lot of resentment that was building up. And through my journaling, I found this repeated pattern of thought in my mind, and I realized something was very, very wrong with the thought process that I was having with respect to the wait. Because for those of you who may not know my backstory, it took me quite a long time to find a career path that aligned with who I was and that brought me peace and joy. And for me, I love showing up for my business. I really, really do, every aspect of it. And it was weird that I was beginning to feel resentment towards the very things that brought me peace and that brought me joy, that made me feel so fulfilled. And that's when I realized something was very, very wrong. And that's when I took a step back and I started reevaluating my relationship with waiting. And I realized that all through my life, I didn't exactly have the healthiest relationship when it came to waiting. I think that at every instance of my life when I've had to wait for something, it would always be very frustrating for me. I would get impatient, agitated, and frankly, I would also go into the victim mode where I would be constantly asking myself, well, does anything ever good happen to me? Or why am I only experiencing bad things? Can't I ever get what I want in my life? And so on and so forth. And when I started looking back and seeing all of those instances where honestly I didn't have the best relationship with waiting, I realized I needed to change that because it had come to a point where it was affecting my mental, my emotional, my physical health as well. And the fact that I was feeling resentment towards the very things that I loved, yeah, that was very shocking for me. And I said, you know what? That's red, absolute red light, and we've got to stop, reevaluate what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and reframe that mindset. And so it was through that entire period. And of course, knock on wood, things did turn around, but it took another 3 months from that period of time for things to actually start turning around and for me to, I guess I would say, get to a point where I did get what I want. But even that period, it was quite messy for me in terms of trying to dissect what I was feeling and how to reframe that in a way that could bring me peace at that point in time. Because for me, I think the most important thing is peace. That's all I'm constantly working towards. And so for me at that point, it was very important for me to get to a place of peace. And I said, you know what? Let's reframe this mindset. We've got to change the way that we view it. And so this entire podeo is a result of that thought process that I changed. So it's been 2 years. I gotta say, the wait still continues for many, many things in my life, different areas of my life, but one thing that has changed significantly is the way that I show up and the way that I view the weight. And I think I really like the way that I view the weight today. It's a little bit different, and I hope to share that with you so that you too can find peace in the weight, I guess I would say. All right, so let's get into it. So, something that I realized at that point in time, this was 2 years ago, is all of life is the weight. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because this is important. All of life is just the weight. And the reason why I say that and why I believe so much in that is because if you think about us as humans, the way that we are, our nature, we want something, and then the minute we get that, we want something else. And then the minute we get that, we want something else. And so, as an extension of that, there's always a period of wait to get what we want, and then we get that, and then there's another period of wait because we want something else, and then once we get that, there's again another period of wait because we want something else. And frankly, I think it's also human nature that we tend to want what we don't have, and so there's always that constant cycle of waiting, and it could be different areas of your life, but when you look back, as I have as well, there's always been something that I was waiting for at every instance of my life. It may not have been the same things, it might have been different things at different phases of my life or different points of my life, but one thing that I can see constant all throughout my life is the wait for something. And the more I recognized that, the more I realized that all of life is just the wait, the more it hit me that maybe if I had a better relationship with the wait, I could have a better relationship with life because, well, all of life is just the wait. So it's kind of going in that thought process. And so I realized, yes, the way that I deal with the wait has to change because clearly it was not the life that I envisioned living because I was not at peace. I was in despair. I was angry all the time. I was frustrated. I was beginning to feel this resentment towards the very things that I loved. Honestly, that was not the life that I wanted for myself or even envisioned for myself. And so the minute I recognized that, I said, all right, if all of life is just the wait, then I've got to see how I view the wait. I've got to have a better relationship with the wait. And as an extension of that, my relationship with life is going to improve as well. And so if I wanted a life where I felt peace, then I had to make peace with the wait. And so this was the first thought that came into my mind. And it took, of course, some time for it to develop. And as I came into this thought that all of life is just the wait, something else also came into my mind, and that was, well, all of life is just the wait. I want something, I have to wait for it. And then I want something else, I'm going to wait for that as well. I don't have control over whether or not I'm going to receive what I want. That's the first thing. The second thing that I don't have control over is even if what I want is part of my fate, part of my destiny, I don't have control over when it is going to show up in my life. And so again, because you're dealing with that uncertainty, that lack of control, it does make one person feel very displaced as well. And that's when, the feelings of tiredness, like you're tired of waiting, you're tired of having hope, you are just not at peace with where you are at because there are so many elements that you can't control in the wait. But something that I've come to understand is you may not have control over that. You may not have control over if and when it will happen. But what you do have control over is how you would like to experience the wait. That's what you have control over. I'm going to repeat that again because this is very, very important. Probably the biggest takeaway that I wish you to have for this podeo. You may not have control over whether or not you are going to get what you want. You also may not have control over when you are going to receive what it is that you want, if it is part of your fate or destiny, or if it's meant for you. I don't know why I struggle with that a bit, but yeah, or if it's meant for you. But what you do have control over is how would you like to experience the wait. That is completely on you. That is 100% in your control. And the minute I realized this, realized that I had something that was within my control, it just made me feel a lot more secure, you know? So instead of focusing on if I'm going to get what I want, or is this wait going to be worth it, or when am I going to get what I want, all of those things, instead of focusing on what I could not control, what I instead did was I started to focus my mind onto what I could control, and that was how I wanted to experience the wait. Did I want the experience to be me filled with despair and discontentment, constantly putting myself in a victim mindset, constantly having self-pity, or did I want to experience it in a way where I valued what I did have? At the same time, I was having a positive and healthy mindset towards working to where I wanted to be, or to get to where I thought I wanted to be, so on and so forth. Like, what experience did I want to have? Did I want to have a positive experience? Did I want to have a negative experience? What is it that I wanted? And the minute I realized this, it shifted the way I showed up in my life as well. Because, well, for me, all of life is the wait. So the way that I experience the wait is also, as an extension of that, how I experience life. And how I wished to experience life was peace. I just wanted to find my baseline of peace. And so the minute I started connecting those dots, I started making peace with the wait, because that's how I wanted to experience life. Now, for you, if you wish to experience life with happiness and contentment, then that is also the relationship that you need to develop with the wait. For me, peace was my fundamental, and so that's the relationship that I developed with the wait. I started to make peace with the wait. I started to say, you know what, I don't know if you're gonna happen. I really don't know when you're gonna happen, if you are meant for me. But what I do know is I'm just going to find my peace here. All right, I'm just going to live each day. For me, finding peace is finding that little bit of joy and contentment with showing up for my business. I'm just going to keep focusing on that. And there are things in my life that I already do have, things that I wanted at some point in my life. And I do have those, so I'm going to focus on those as well. And, I'm going to focus on showing up. I'm not going to worry about the things that I don't have control over. Rather, I'm going to focus on what I do have control over, and that is how I want to experience the wait. And so the minute I shifted my focus on that, the minute I realized I want to have more gratitude in the wait, I wanted to have more contentment in the wait, I wanted to have more joy, I wanted to have more peace, the minute I switched my mindset to that, I started experiencing life in the same way as well. Okay? And I'll give you an example. For me, I gotta tell you, on my YouTube channel, you can check it out as well. As of posting this video, I have 413 videos. So this would be the 414th video. Do you know how many subscribers I have on YouTube at this point in time? I have 444 subscribers as of publishing this video. 414 videos and 444 subscribers. And I've been doing this for 4 years now, all right? At some point in my business, yes, this was 2 years ago, I thought, I'm putting all of these videos out, I'm doing my best, I keep putting, what I think is, content that people will like, and, my subscriber count's just not growing, nothing's happening, for someone to say 414 videos and 444 subscribers, it's such a massive, I know it shocks a lot of people, and I have had a very dear friend of mine reach out to me recently, and she said, Prit, I don't know how you keep going. You know, I know your content is good. I know that you're doing all of this amazing stuff. You're showing up so consistently. You have been, and I've seen you from the beginning. And yet I can't seem to understand why it isn't showing up for you in the numbers. And actually, that conversation is the inspiration behind this podeo. And that's when, you know, I told her the same thing that I'm telling you. Maybe, you know, it's in my destiny, it's not in my destiny. I don't know all of that. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know any of it. I don't have control over that. What I do have control over is how I want this experience to be for me, how I want the weight to be, you know, the weight of getting to maybe 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers. There is a weight to any of those numbers, right? But I choose today to experience it in the way that I want. And the way that I want is I want to feel joy every time I show up here. And I do feel that joy. I do feel that peace. I want to feel that contentment when I'm, you know, putting a video up and maybe, you know, somebody comments on it, somebody gives it a like. I want to experience all of that, you know. For somebody on the outside, maybe, you know, they might see, oh, it's just 1 like or just 2 likes. But for me, that's 1 like and 2 likes. And, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I'm enjoying the phase that I'm in. I'm enjoying every second of this. And I think you can make out as well from the way that I show up over here. And that means the world to me, you know, the way that I get to experience the weight is in my control. It's on me. And that's it. I don't want to focus on what I don't have control over, whether or not it's in my fate. When is it going to happen? Or am I the only person who goes through this? I don't want to focus my energy on that. I'd rather focus my energy on what I do have control over. And that is how I wish to experience the weight. Okay? It's just as simple as that for me. Now, as an extension of that, okay, before we get into the extension, I do want to say, well, if you're tired of waiting, if you're in that place where, honestly, things have just not been working out and you're waiting for things to turn around and it's been going on for quite some time, first off, I understand your frustration. I do. I really, really do. I understand the helplessness that you might be feeling at this moment of time. I understand the fear that you must be feeling as you feel your hope slipping away. I do. I've been in that position multiple times in my life, and frankly, I know what you're feeling. But what I do want to tell you at this point in time is you can feel all of those things and also learn how to generate peace from those feelings, like convert each of them into peace. Like, yes, I'm frustrated that this is happening to me. Yes, it's true, you know, what I want hasn't come. But that does not mean that I can't feel peace. I could be sad that I'm putting in so much of effort and yet things have not worked out for me, and also be at peace with where I am at right now, and also feel joy with where I am at right now. Not mutually exclusive, guys. You can feel all of those things together. But over time, what I want you to do is lessen your focus on whether it is happening or not, if it's going to happen, when is it going to happen, so on and so forth. Lessen your focus on that and instead focus on what you can control. And that is going to take a little bit of time. It is going to take a little bit of your time to shift your focus from what is predominantly your attention right now. Your attention right now is everything related to the weight. But as you shift your focus towards what you are experiencing, how you want it to be, rather than what you are focusing on right now, let me tell you, the shift will happen. Okay, it's all about that intentional reframing of your mind. It's okay for you to focus on that, but start focusing more on how you want to experience the weight. All right, so I guess I want to say it's okay to feel everything that you're feeling. I will always keep saying this. It's okay to feel all that you're feeling. Sometimes Your feelings, your emotions will contradict each other, and that's okay. That is okay. Allow space for all of that. But the difference in this case is you've got to start intentionally focusing more on what feels good, on what brings you peace, on what you can control, on the experience that you're having. Shift your focus very slowly onto what you can control. All right? So it's about where you are at right now. It's okay that you are there. And it's okay that you will be there for a little bit more longer. But every time you catch yourself being in that victim mindset or self-pitying yourself or feeling angry, feeling frustrated, shift your mind. Ask yourself, what is it that I do have now that I wanted at some point in time? What can I feel grateful for in this moment of time? What is this weight teaching me? That goes a little bit into the spiritual aspect. We'll probably talk about that in another patio, but what am I supposed to learn in this weight? Or, what do I have now that I should be grateful for? What is it that I could control now? Maybe showing up or keeping your hope up, keeping your spirits up. How do I get that? Maybe you want to talk to your mentors, maybe you want to talk to your friends, maybe you want to seek professional help. How can I shift my focus from where it is right now? Because right now it's not serving me. How do I shift that focus into something that does serve me, that helps me experience the weight in a way that feels aligned to who I am and what I want to experience as well, right? So I gotta say, it's all about shifting that focus, and it's gonna take you a little bit of time. Don't worry about it. It's a natural process. It's a very, very natural process. But the more you keep reminding yourself, every time you slip back, the more you keep reminding yourself, no, I want to experience the weight in a way that feels good to me. I want to experience the weight in a way that feels aligned to who I am. That's how you slowly get into being in a healthier relationship with the weight. Because frankly, if all of life is the weight, then that's probably going to be as long as the relationship that you have with yourself, right? If I have to put it in that way. So yeah, you might as well focus on the good. Focus on what makes you feel good. Focus on what you can control, and that is how you experience the weight. And as an extension of that, we're getting into the second point, okay? As an extension of that, something that I keep asking myself all the time, and this has been one of the most powerful things that I've done for myself, hands down, is I ask myself, what's the story? All right? It's just 3 words. What's the story? And let me explain that. We'll probably get deeper into that in another patio because I use that for every other aspect of my life. But for this, with respect to waiting, what's the story? So here's how I do it. Every time I find myself going into despair, feeling tired, feeling that frustration building up inside of me, or honestly, I'm just sick and tired. I'm done. Every time I start feeling that way, what I ask myself is, when I do get what I want, what's the story that I want to tell myself? What's the story that I wish to have lived up until that point? And there's a reason why that question is so powerful, because again, you're putting your mind in a point where it feels it has already gotten what it wants and is now looking back. And so when you ask yourself, what's the story? What's the story that I want to have lived? You're looking back after receiving what you have got, okay, after receiving what you wanted, you're looking back, and there are 2 different narratives that you can have for yourself. The first narrative is, well, I did get what I want, but, the journey was, honestly, I was in despair all the time. I was constantly upset. I was, just not dealing with it in the best way. I was lashing out at other people. I was, I didn't show up in a way that felt aligned to me. That's one narrative. The second narrative that you can have for yourself is, I showed up in a way that felt authentic to me. I showed up in a way that felt aligned to me. Yes, it was hard sometimes, but I just kept refocusing myself to what felt good. I kept appreciating what I did have. And, I didn't let go of things that were important to me in my pursuit of getting what I wanted. So what's the narrative that you want to have for yourself? What's the story that you do want to have for yourself at the end of the day, at the end of you getting what you wanted, right? And that's very important for you to ask yourself. Hold on, we're running out of camera space because we're hitting close to 25 minutes. It usually happens at the 25 mark. So give me a second and I'll just be right back. Okay, we are back. And so the third part of this podeo that I wish to share with you is, yes, it is true that right now you are waiting for something, or you're waiting for some things to appear in your life. And yes, you may be working towards that, or you may be hoping for it, so on and so forth. But at the same time, we mustn't forget that there are things in your life right now that you once wanted and you did receive them. And the way that I look at this is, if we don't take the time to breathe in, to appreciate what we once wanted and did get, then what was the point of wanting it then? Then what was the point of the wait? What was the point of the journey that it took to get you what you wanted, right? And so for me, especially, this has been a little bit of a struggle. This part has been a little bit of a struggle and still continues today, because for me, the way that I am is, what's next? What's next? After this, like, what's next? What's next? So on and so forth. And so for me, it's a lot of intentional effort that I have to put in to pause and say, you know what? There's always a next, but what you have today, you've got to learn to appreciate it, to breathe it in, to experience it to its maximum. And so that is something that I keep reminding myself. Yes, you may be waiting for a couple of things to show up in your life. Yes, you may be working towards your next goal, but you have to understand that at one point you really did want something and you got it. You got it. And that just deserves your respect first. It deserves your gratitude. It also deserves your time to experience it. These are three things that you have to keep in mind even when you're waiting. So take a second today, pause, take a look at the life that you are living right now. You are living the life that you want, some parts of it at least. You are living what you once wanted. Take some time to appreciate that, to have gratitude for that. For me, one of the biggest things was, all through my engineering, I couldn't imagine a life where I had my own business. I was doing the things that I loved, and I could not even imagine, but I wanted it. I genuinely, truly wanted that joy and that peace from my work life. And frankly, it scared me so much in engineering when I thought of my next 40 years in that field, because it was just not aligned to who I was. And today I have that, knock on wood. Today I have that. And if I don't take the time to appreciate it, to have gratitude for it, to respect it, to experience this peace and this joy that I'm feeling right now, regardless of the subscriber count that I have, regardless of my followers, regardless of those metrics that we seem to be bogged down with this journey, with this entrepreneurial journey, then why did I want it so much back then, right? And frankly, I need to appreciate it. And you will find things like that in your life as well. So take some time today, write down if you have to, or, if you have an audio diary or whatever. I think these are things that need to be kept in your mind for a very long time. I really do think, because I guess this is a little bit on the spiritual side, but you never know when it's not going to be there anymore, right? And so when you do get what you want, it's important to take the time to experience it fully, because that too has an expiration date in your life. Just as it had a date when it was manufactured, I guess I would say, it also has an expiration date. And I think it's our responsibility to experience it for the entire duration that it is there. Otherwise, it's just going to be there and then it's just going to leave. And at the end of it, again, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on what you did want at some point. And I think that would be a very, very sad thing to happen. So as much as possible today, and in the future as well. This is something that I will also be doing. It's an intentional effort. It is an intentional effort because I think it's human nature to keep saying, okay, what's next? What do I do next? What do I want next? Go on and go on. But it's important to periodically take some time to recognize that some things in our life today is what we did want at some point, and we've got to, it's there for us to experience it. It's right there for us to experience it. And I think that is I guess, I think the cycle where you get what you want and then you experience it while you're waiting for the next thing that you want. I think that is where the beauty of life comes into picture. And if you can do that for yourself, if you can use your period of waiting to experience what you did want at some point and got, I think it just makes time go a little bit faster, in my opinion, because, well, time is relative. And also, I think it's just maximum use of that wait time. So I guess how I would like to conclude this entire podeo is, for me, the way that I view wait today is I just view all of life to be wait. I just accept it as part of life. And I keep asking myself, well, how do I want to experience this wait? What's the story that I want to tell myself when I do get what I want? Because I don't have control over those things. I don't have control over whether it is going to happen or not, or when it is going to show up in my life. I don't have control over those things. But what I do have control over is how I wish to experience the wait. And it's the same for you as well. It may happen, it may not happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, if it's a part of your fate, if it's a part of your destiny. But at the same time, you get to choose how you want to experience the wait. And there are different ways that you can go about it. But for me, frankly, one of the best ways that you can make use of your waiting time right now is to experience what it is that you did want and got, And yeah, I think that's just, again, a way where you shift your focus away from what is lacking in your life to what it is that you do have in your life, and learn to appreciate that. Learn to find peace in the wait, because the wait is your life. Like your whole life, there's going to be something or the other that you're waiting. So you might as well learn to make peace with it. You might as well become friends with it, I guess I would say, and become best buddies with it, because that's going to be like a huge chunk of your life is going to be spent in that. And you might as well also take the time to appreciate, to show gratitude, to experience what you did want at some point and you got. And I really think that having gratitude for what you do have is going to only make space for more that you do want to step into your life, I guess I would say. Okay, I really truly believe in that as well. So yeah, I'm just looking down at my notes, and one thing that I've written over here, which I didn't talk about, and I'll quickly wrap it up, is how is it coming together? So sometimes in the wait, you actually get to see whatever it is that you want coming together. And that's happened to me a couple of times in my life as well. And I've learned to find joy in watching the pieces of the puzzle come together to get what I want. And I think that's also something that you should be aware of, and of course keep an intentional eye out for it. And that's happened a couple of times in my life. It's actually been very beautiful to see the pieces of the puzzle come together to get me what I want. And and the wait, it has always made the wait a little bit more memorable, because there are points in my life that I look back saying, oh, at this point this was shaping up, at this point this also was shaping up, and then this, and then I finally did get what I wanted. And so for me right now, the experience that I'm living, let's talk about the experience that I'm living with respect to my subscriber count. Every time I do get +1 subscriber count, I'm so happy. I'm experiencing it. I know every single I guess I wouldn't say every single, that would be a little bit of a dramatization on my end, but I do know at every like 50, 100, 150, 200, I know exactly what was happening in my life at that point in time. I know what I was feeling. I know what stage of business my business was in. Yeah, I think that was an okay sentence. Okay. I know, what stage my business was in, and then I also know my mindset. I know that it is coming together. It is slowly shaping up, and these are little pieces, and I'm finding joy in watching it all come together. And so that's also one more different perspective that I wish to share with you when it comes to the weight as well. So yeah, sometimes you might not be able to see the puzzle pieces. That's also happened to me. But in the moments where you do, you are, I guess, given the unique opportunity of seeing the puzzle pieces come together, find joy in that. Learn how to recognize those little signs of things coming together, those little stages of you getting what you want. There are. Sometimes you might see them, sometimes you won't, but it helps to keep an intentional eye out for them, okay? So yeah, I'm just gonna look at my notes, and how I would like to conclude this is the weight is your perception. It is absolutely your perception. And so when it is your perception, it is in your control. What's meant for you will come. What's not will not. And what's meant for you, no matter what happens, it will come into your life, whether you resist it or whether someone else tries to sabotage whatever it is. If it's meant for you, it will come into your life. And what's not will not. It's just as simple as that. You can try as hard as you want. You can, cry as much as you want. You can do everything in your power, but what's not meant for you will not. And so there are a lot of things that are not in our control. If it's going to happen, and also when it's going to happen, if it's meant for you. And so in that period of time, the one thing that you have control over is, how would you like that experience to be? How would you like the weight to be? How would you like the journey to be, to the point where you get whatever it is that you want? And it could be anything in life. So yeah, that's the final question that I want to leave. Actually, two questions. How would you like the experience to be? How would you like the weight to be? And I guess that goes to one question. Okay, we're just going to put that as one question. And then the second question that I do have for you is, what would you like your story to be? All right. So yeah, if you liked this podeo, please do give me a thumbs up. If you wish to see more personal transformation and mindset videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a YouTube video. Of course, final thoughts on this video is, I know it can be hard. I know waiting for something can be really, really hard, and I understand that, but just because it is hard doesn't mean you can't find peace in that journey. Just because it is hard, just because it is happening, like the wait is happening, does not mean you can't find peace, you can't find joy, you can't find contentment in what you already do have and what other good things are already happening for you. All right, so that's how I just want to, a small note over there. And other than that, I'm the author of 2 books. My first book is 0 to 4 Figures, Lessons Learned by a Broke CEO. Well, spoiler alert, that was me 4 years ago. So the book is basically a compilation of 61 stories and lessons from my digital entrepreneurship journey, the first 3 years of it. And it's got lessons from different topics like self-love, marketing strategy, business strategy, positive mindset, growth mindset, success mindset. It is available on Amazon. Now, my second book is called Self-Loved, and it is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts to help with healing, growth, and self-discovery. That too is available on Amazon. Now, I also have a series of productivity planners, trackers, journals, and they are called the Simple Series by The Marketing Nomad. At the moment of publishing this podeo, there are 17 of them available on Amazon. Covers different ones like one-page project planner, yearly habit tracker. What else? There's also a 7-day week planner. There's also a 5-day work week planner, so on and so forth. There are plenty of them. Now, the simplest way to find all of my stuff on Amazon is to search for my name, Prithvi Madhukar, Prithvi space Madhukar. There's even an author page for me over there, and all of my stuff, all of my books, my planners, my trackers, everything just appears on that page as well. Other than that, well, if you want to catch me on Instagram, I'm there at The Marketing Nomad. If you want to, have a conversation with me, if you want to share your experiences, if you want to talk about what you're going through and how this video helped me, helped you. Well, it is also going to help me, I gotta say that. But how this video helped you, please do share your thoughts in the comment section below. I do read them. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. If you want a more private conversation, you can definitely DM me on Instagram at The Marketing Nomad as well. All right, that brings me to the end of this podeo. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening all the way up until here. I'll catch you in my next podeo. Bye-bye.